How present was Tupac's mom during his time on the label? I know it was only 11 months or whatever, but how present was she as far as being around?
Miss Shakur, to be honest, I can think of about 5 events that I saw her at.
Okay.
You got to remember, she had just got a new home in Atlanta, so she was happy about that Death Row and had purchased for her to get in, or her son. We'll say that because I'm sure it eventually got billed back to him.
Yeah.
That's how the game goes. So that Tupac, I'll say that, had purchased for her in Atlanta. Well, actually, not Atlanta.
Stone Mountain, right?
Yeah.
Stone
like
Mountain,
that.
Georgia. Yeah.
Out that way. In Georgia. I'll just say that. I know you Google motherfuckers will tear me up. And so the events that I saw Miss Shakur at was the Mother's Day. I took her shopping. I took her and Sugar Mother shopping and to lunch one time. That's the time I told y'all the story where she'll have me give each one of them $5,000 and cash and drive them to the mall. He got mad at me because I didn't like the Beverly Center. I took him over to the West Side Pavilion. But they weren't trying to spend their money. And I think that just being the women, they just didn't want to shop in front of each other and want to get their own stuff. He wanted them to go and buy something nice. You know, $5,000 back then was a decent piece of change.
Yeah.
Now you can go and spend that on an outfit. But back then you can buy you a few outfits. He just wanted them to go buy, show them a good time. Take them to dinner, Reg. But I remember coming back to them there, but yeah, it's because you took them to that whack-ass mall. You didn't take them to the Beverly Center like I told you. And so I was like, whatever. We went and ate over there, and that's where they want to go eat. And so he said, well, now my mama gonna go in and spend all that money on my sisters and the grandkids, because that's all she worried about. And I wanted to do something nice for her. Shit, man, no grown women. And then Pac was like, yeah, Suge, don't be giving my mom that type of money. I don't give her that type of money. Not saying or throwing nothing out. He just said, I don't give my mama that type of money at one time.
Yep.
Why? I'm not saying. Don't know. Not sure why, because he didn't elaborate on it. But anyway, so that time, of course, did I say the Mother's Day event?
Yep.
Okay. She wasn't at the Christmas event. I know they were hanging out in Calabasas towards the end.
Okay.
Once he got his new house, because he was only there for like a month and a half, 2 months, if that.
Okay.
Once it got furnished and everything. Yeah. But I know the auntie was out there. That's why I always throw the slight. Everybody disagree with me. But I know for a fact that Yasmin wasn't around as far as working in the capacity that she was towards that week or two before Pac died or got killed. She did come back. She was there at the hospital and stuff like that. Yeah. But Molly was pretty much in that position. Or maybe she was just at the office trying to get the euthanasia stuff going. Don't know. But the mother probably was in town during that time, but she didn't come around Death Row. You don't bring your mothers in.
Of course.
You only bring them around to events. You don't bring your mom to your workplace. So yeah, and I wasn't one to be at Pac House. I was mainly a Suge guy. I know I sent my bodyguard, this guy named Cooper Hagan. They went out for Thanksgiving to Atlanta.
Okay.
And I remember they went out there and spent that Thanksgiving when he first got out of prison. So that would have been 95. Yeah. Thanksgiving, November 95. He went to Atlanta then. Those about the only times I can say Pac saw his mother in person, other than the last 2 months once he got his house in Calabasas. Don't know what was going on there. But yeah, those were the events and the timetable that I believe she was in town from Atlanta. Okay. And when Pop saw his mother during the final days.
Okay. A lot of the people of the younger generation weren't really alive when Tupac was alive, when he did music. They, were born afterwards. For people that only see the hit 'em up stuff or, the him dissing this person or that person, how would you say Tupac was as a person? Like, would you say he was a good, you know what I mean? Like, from your interactions with him, how would you describe how he was on a day-to-day?
My interaction was always professional. Because, Reggie was like the security professional guy, the no-nonsense guy. I wasn't one hanging out with them, fucking on girls and all of that. I'm the one that's kind of getting guys around and making sure the limo's there, the girls that they requested got there with the car service, making sure shit was happening. Reg, get this, Reg, do that. That was my thing. Reg, where your guys at? Where your security guy? Pop out the move. Make sure they okay. Make sure those niggas wasn't getting caught off into no shit. Been plenty of times where I done had to step in and take over when bitches laying out, passed out. All right, we gotta get this bitch out of here and get her in the car, cause she, cause Suge was on house arrest during that time, so the hotel or the motel was his office, and him and Pac had a ball in that red room. You can see all the pictures and all of that. That's where all those pictures. Those niggas was playing. That's their hotel room. That was their house. That was Suge's house. That really was Suge's house for like 2 or 3 months when he was on house arrest.
Yeah. And
so, because his room was in there, I had a bulletproof glass window put in, and that's where he used to sleep at, in this little back room. And then his office, and with couches, and that was his living quarters. And so that's where they played, and that's why Pac was either on a movie set or at the studio. That's where they hung until he went to go home and lay down. The food was brought to the studio. Everything was brought to him. The weed was brought to the studio. The bitches was brought to the studio. That was their playground and the safest spot. And they were working. The studio atmosphere. That they lived and killed that. So my profession was always with Pac was like, all right, who going on the trip? So I can get the office to get your tickets or this or that. Or we going here, we got to be there at that time. And Papa G did his too, for the PR stuff. Papa G would, control, we got to do this, or I need you at this movie
Saturday Night Live, and then we're going to go here. And yeah.
Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that's what's our relationship. People want to always try to put out, like, I'm trying to put out, like, I was with Pac and right now.
Yeah, you've never really said.
That's Frank, Kevin, and all of them that's rolling with him. I wrote Suge Security was this guy named Bill Upton, and who else I had on Suge? I had Cooper. Cooper Hagen was the one that I had on Suge. Reggie just owned a security company, and was always around, making stuff happen. But that's how our relationships were. But as far as seeing from being around and knowing, he's very smart, always writing. He was a jokester, a laugh and smile. He was very charismatic. Always had a joke or something going on, or the loud one in the room. That's his man Pac. Serious about working in that studio. But they pretty much, before they came to the studio, already had what they were going to do planned out. Either it was on, like I said, the trailer. Although 11 months, they were shooting video. I got to remember how many videos that man shot in that 11-month period.
And movies.
And 2 movies. Working on, he hosted MTV rap videos or something like that. Was at Venice Beach doing stuff. Doing PR. The man was working in an 11-month time period. So that was our our relationship was pretty much always working and getting stuff done. But I remember the most thing that impressed me was if y'all can ever look at the footage where he spoke at the Brotherhood Crusades event that we had when they were putting up money and fighting against the 3-strike laws that eventually happened and was defeated in LA. But they were majorly going against the 3-strike law in California. Pac and Suge gave a lot of money to the Brotherhood Crusade and a lot of their time and effort trying to beat that proposition or that law. And the way he talked on camera, for the media. But then there was a bunch of gang members that were there, and they took in like a back room. That's when they were showing us because Suge and Death Row had did some that's when PlayStation, or not PlayStation, Nintendos and stuff was big. And they built some houses, like little doll houses or something. But they had PlayStations built inside where they were delivering to the different hospitals, the children's hospitals, and stuff like that for kids to play with, while they're in hospital recovering from whatever issues that they had, Because Suge was big on the children's hospitals and stuff like that in Death Row. I remember going to Martin Luther King Hospital, Children's Hospital, everything around Christmas time, giving out toys and stuff to the kids' wards. And so they were there showing us, doing a walkthrough in there, and then it was like an impromptu meeting with a bunch of gang leaders and stuff like that. And Pac was just trying to tell them, hey, how we got to learn to police ourselves as far as, when we go to doing what the NFL and the NBA doing right now. Like if I come to your town and do he said, I can't take care. We don't have enough money to take care of the whole United States or the world. But if I come in your town and do a show, then we need to do stuff in that area, in that community. Maybe go to a homeless shelter or a woman's abuse, because they were big with this. I forget, it's still big to this day. It was a shelter that they used to do a lot of stuff with. I think it's nationwide now. A place called Home. Suge built a place called Home with the money that they donated back in the early 90s. I know it's still going big today. And what I mean by that, he helped them out and donated a lot of money with them in the beginning. And the Jim Brown thing. But mainly to go around to the different locations and take care of things in that community that's going on. I mean, I don't want to deliver checks to people that y'all wouldn't believe for helping with burials on behalf of Suge and Death Row. I remember when he was in prison up in Sacramento, where he had heard of a playground, they showed on the news, and there was a playground that went under and they were about to tear down or need to be revamped. Called me, Reg, get a check for $20,000 or $25,000, something like that, and take it to this place. I don't know nothing. Don't tell them who it's from. Just donate that and tell them to rebuild this. It got out. It got on the news. And somehow they found out who it was. Probably because it came from Suge Knight or Death Row. Probably came from Death Row, knowing my dumb ass. And so they knew who it was from. And they got on the news and all of that. But he didn't want no publicity from it and all of that. And so we did stuff like that. But my point in your question was about Pac. What was impressed me about Pac was mainly, like I said, how he just talked about doing things in communities when we go there and show up there, then always try to take time to help out with the gangs or talk to them and there about, this crime against brothers killing brothers and all of that stuff. And Pac was big on that. And I told his mother about that when I went and delivered her the medallion that we had, the Machiavelli medallion. Y'all call it the euthanasia medallion, but I'm going to tell you as many times as I can, it didn't say euthanasia, it says Machiavelli. I know y'all argue with me about that, but hopefully John can blow it up and show y'all it's Machiavelli. And when I delivered that, and we was telling stories to each other about that. It was at the the W Hotel in Westwood, and we sat there for about hours talking about that. And I was, and I told her about that story, and she said, "Reggie, you know where you get that from?" She said, "That's the Black Panther way of thinking. That's the model that's big from the Black Panther. That's his training, Reggie." And that's what I remember most about Pac
Gotcha.
and my interactions with Pac.